Welcome to Hack Your Happiness.
On Mission Impossible with the Dead Reckoning, where we did the train. So the
Oh,
train
yeah.
sequence on that, it was, McHugh, the director, and Tom wanted to crash a real steam locomotive. But, you can't really buy a steam locomotive. So we literally had to build it from the ground up.
Are you a teen or adult looking for more happiness in every day and ways to connect with people in your life?
You've come to the right place. Hack Your Happiness is a podcast designed to bring you the behind the scenes of what brings iconic individuals happiness, plus their life hacks.
I'm Mercedes,
And I'm Anastasia.
and we're the two teens behind Small Bits of Happiness.
We're interviewing Olympic athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and more.
Throughout all of our episodes, you'll find great conversations, hacks that you can take away and try in your life, inspiration, as well as unique and surprising insights. Joining us today, we have Neil Corbould. Neil is a super successful special effects director. He has worked on recent movies such as Napoleon, which we both really loved, and the special effects were absolutely incredible. Masters of the Air, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Mission Impossible, A Dead Reckoning Part 1, Ready Player One, and more. Neil has won 2 Oscars, 27 overall wins, and has had 59 nominations, as well as 3 Oscar nominations in the same category just this year. Neil's achievements and hard work is undoubtable and reflected in all of his incredible achievements on these successful films. Neil is absolutely incredible and so inspiring, and Anastasia and I are both beyond excited to speak with him today. Welcome, Neil.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great, how are you?
Very good, very good.
Awesome, we're so excited to be speaking with you today, and you're a very successful special effects expert for a lot of really big movies, and we'd love if you could take us back to the beginning. How did your journey as a special effects expert begin?
I was very lucky because my uncle, a guy called Colin Chilvers, he was the special effects supervisor on Superman the movie. And I kept bugging him. I was 15 years old, and I kept bugging him to take me into work because Superman was one of my favorite sort of comic book heroes. And eventually he did. So my first vision of a film set was Christopher Reeves flying down the Bond stage at Pirate Studios in the set of the Fortress of Solitude. And from that moment on I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That's amazing how you started. I mean, I just turned 16 like a few months ago, and so, I mean, hearing that you discovered your interests and your passions around the same age that I am is just so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so amazing that, you were able to kind of discover, and while you were looking at something that you were super interested in, and you just kind of found, what you think you wanted to do for the rest of your life, and it turned out amazing.
And just kind of like, not giving up and persuading
Totally.
to go.
Yeah. So throughout your journey, what has been your most significant challenge? And if so, how did you overcome your challenge?
I suppose the biggest challenge was just to be recognized. I suppose it's, you've got to, when I started, it was, being on a film set's one thing, but you have to sort of do the chores as well, so my uncle sort of employed me. They paid me £5 a week to work on Superman the movie, but it used to cost me £10 a week to get to work. So my mother used to give me the extra £5 to get on the train to go to work. So so there were obstacles at the beginning, but it was something that I really, really wanted to do, and my mother supported me, or my parents supported me to do that. So it's really not giving up. And also, the film industry is it seems very glamorous, but when I was 15, I was making the tea and sweeping the floors, and just looking and being a sponge of knowledge, looking at what people were doing, how they were making things, and just absorbing all of that, and then and then I progressed as years went on.
I love how you kind of started from the bottom and just kind of, took in all the information and took in from what everybody else was doing, kind of learned how to pull yourself up from there. And I mean, clearly it worked. You've been so successful and you've worked on so many amazing movies.
Yes, and I love how, again, it's okay to start not in a super high position. I think sometimes as teenagers we're like, oh, if you work in the film industry, you're going to be right away a big star, but it's okay to start, somewhere, a smaller role or a smaller job in whatever field of interest you may have,
As
and
long as you're
build
learning.
from that and enjoy the process too.
Yeah, I mean that, when I get youngsters come to see me about a job, what I look for is enthusiasm. And a lot of the time, well, not a lot, sometimes you get youngsters come in and they just say, how much money can I make? And for me, that's like the worst thing to say. It's just like, because I want to see somebody's, the fire in their heart, and the enthusiasm, the dedication, that sort of thing. So yeah, and when I see a youngster, it excites me, when they have that passion, and then I want to teach them, I want to show them things.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think that for anybody listening, if you're like trying to get a job or an internship or anything like that, just really being interested and passionate is so valuable, because if you're passionate and interested enough, you'll be willing to learn and keep going throughout challenges as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just having that motivation and excitement will just, kind of fuel you through it. And I think it's just so important to find something that you're passionate about to follow that.
Yeah, I agree. And so aside from, working on the Superman movie along with your uncle in the very beginning, were there any other early influences or experiences that sparked your interest in special effects?
I was always a big fan of the older movies, like the Battle of Britain, and those sort of westerns, the John Wayne westerns, and stuff like that. And it just fueled the passion, really. And it's every day, every movie that I saw, it just made me want to do it even more. And then when I got the opportunity to do that, and go into the studios and see that environment, it was great. And like I say, I used to, at lunch breaks, I just used to wander around the studios, and it was a lot easier back then because the security on these film sets wasn't as strict as it is now. You could walk onto somebody else's set and nobody would ever batter an eyelid. So it was a lot easier back then to sort of meet people and just chat to people.
Yeah,
Totally. I think just talking to different people is just so important, making those new contacts and even just learning from what other people have learned to find out, is this something I want to continue? And if it is, just find out as much as you can about it. And, continuing from that, a lot of teens are really interested in working in a creative way in the film industry. So what educational path did you follow to develop your skills in special effects and get where you are today?
Well, I left school quite early, so I never went to college or university or anything like that. But I was always good with my hands. I was good at, I'm a bit dyslexic. So, the reading and writing side of it never came easy to me. Thank God for computers and spell check. That sort of saved my bacon in a lot of respects. But sorry, what was the question again? Because I was going off on another tangent then.
Oh, it's all good. Is there any specific education, anything that you did to help with the specific?
Yeah, I mean, with practical effects, because there's so many disciplines. There's electrician, there's plumbing, there's carpentry, there's hydraulics, there's explosives. So there's many different disciplines. So anything, like even driving a forklift, there's like forklift courses out there. And if you come for a job and, I say, well, what have you been up to? And if you say, I've got a forklift license, it's a big plus, it's a big tick on the, because then I look at that person and say, this person has done this on their own back, and that means a lot. It shows me what their personality's like and what their drive is. That's not to say, as I say, I like teaching people as well. I've got a great crew around me that, when we get youngsters in that are passionate, we basically introduce them to all the different heads of my departments, because somebody might like working with with wood. Some people might like to go on a lathe. So we want to find where they're best suited and where they're happiest. There's no point in doing something and you're not happy with it. So, I'm a firm believer and try this. If you don't like that, you can go on to this. That's the beauty of special effects. There's so many different disciplines, and I do prosthetics as well. So, sometimes they don't, they see somebody making some dummies or mold making or something, and they want to go over there. And I say, yeah, we'll try that because that might be more suited to you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love how it's all about, not being afraid to try something different and something new, because that's the way you can truly find out what you like and what you enjoy, what you're good at, or work at becoming better at what you're interested and passionate about. Because, you never really know what you are good at and what you enjoy until you try. And that's why it's so important to try out different things. I really love that.
Yes.
Totally. And I think
also don't be afraid to say, if you don't like doing something, just say, look, I'm not really keen on doing woodwork, but I really like, maybe doing some electrical work is interesting, or mold making or something like that,
Exactly. So then you're not stuck doing something that you're not interested in, because there's something out there that you are interested in. I think a lot of times teenagers feel, in a sense, trapped, as I have to keep pursuing this certain sport or activity or club. But it's okay to move and adapt and change, because that's how you can discover what you're good at, and it's okay to admit that you are not good at something.
Totally.
Yeah, never, absolutely.
So what was one of your most challenging and memorable effects that you and your team have had to create for a movie, and how did you overcome this challenge?
I think one of the most challenging effects was actually pretty recently on Mission Impossible with the Dead Reckoning, where we did the train. So the train sequence on that, it was, McHugh, the director, and Tom wanted to crash a real steam locomotive. But, you can't really buy a steam locomotive. So we literally had to build it from the ground up. We designed it, we built it. We built it so it could go on a real railway, which McHugh found this location in Norway. So then we had to, but the railway was a public railway. And when we initially started to build it, the train, it was going to go on a private railway. So you didn't need as many certifications going on a private railway. But because they picked a public railway in Norway, we had to jump through the hoops and actually make it like a real train. So all the brakes had to work properly, and they had to pass certain certifications. And it was a never ending, for that one effect or sequence, I was on it for probably about a year with all the planning, building the train, building the bridge that we actually drove the train off of. So it was quite a big undertaking. So that was, and we had one go at it. We built, it was probably one of the biggest radio control models that you could ever imagine. So it's an 80-ton train, which was remote control. And as soon as you take the brake off and you're going towards the edge of the cliff, that's it. There's no going back. So you have to make sure all the cameras are rolling and everybody's ready, and there's helicopters up in the air. And we did it in one take, and everyone was happy. And so that was probably the most challenging effect.
That's so cool. Especially, you're right about the fact that if it's a real train that you're that's coming off of a railway, you really only got that one chance. And so that's so cool, especially having watched that movie. I watched it in the theater with my friends, and I remember that was such a cool scene to watch, and that's so amazing to hear the the actual side of creating that scene and the challenges and not giving up. Okay, we have to shift from a private railway to a public one, and getting all the certification
challenge. Yeah, exactly. But just sticking through it and focusing on your work, I think, can totally help.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear.
I just think that's so cool.
And also, it's having a fantastic team of people around me as well. As I don't do this stuff on my own. I've got a massive team of girls and boys, men and women, that are all behind me and getting my vision to the screen.
I love that because it's so
Totally.
true. Like, I think sometimes we don't recognize how important it is to have a supportive network of people around us, whether that be, you know, your sports team or production team, or even just like your own support system in life, friends, family members.
Totally.
It's so important to surround
just-
yourself with people who make you work best and feel good, and you can work together.
Totally. And I think these people can really help you when you're overcoming challenges, which leads to our next questions. What are your top 3 tips for teens to overcome their challenges?
Overcome their challenges. I think, just as I say, don't take no for an answer. I think just be very persistent. You know, just what else is there? I think in this day and age, being a teenager is so hard. I think it's a lot harder than when I was younger. You know, there's so many distractions these days with social media, and the world's a lot smaller place now. So, you know, it's because of the internet. You know, so when I was growing up, there was no internet. We used to go out and play, you know, in the playground, or play football, and that was it. You know, no mobile phones. You know, there was one telephone in the house, and that was it. But so what else to overcome there? I think being positive, being confident. Communication is very important to overcome. You know, don't bottle anything up inside. You know, you must talk to different people, your parents, your friends. If anything's troubling you, you know, don't keep it to yourself. You know, it's very important to you know, because mental health is a big problem these days as well. Again, I think it's down to social media and that sort of thing, because people are very led. You know, they see this stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, and they're very easily led. And you just got to, you know, if there's something that you're not sure about, just talk to somebody.
I love that. And I think that all 3 of those tips are so important, and we can find ways to incorporate them into our daily life. If you really want something, it's important to go for it, not take no for an answer, and see how else you could achieve whatever goal you have in mind, and be flexible and evolve and adapt, as well as, you know, speak and be present with people in your life and share your thoughts and feelings. Because
I
again,
think communication is so important.
if you bottle them up, then they'll just come out later, or it'll build up, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
never.
And it'll come out
Yeah.
at a place.
Your brain starts playing games with you as well. You know, it's because if you're seeing it so much on these different channels, you start believing it, and a lot of the time it's not true. You know, so you know, you have to and question it. You know, don't just take what you see on on these channels for granted. You know, you challenge it, and get somebody to explain it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's important to also ask for help when you need it, and support from your community, whether that be a friend, a family member, a teacher, a coach, anything like that.
You know, communication, again, just really helps with that. You know, just reaching out to somebody and asking for help can make a big difference between success and failure. Or even when you're building a train, you know, like, you need to sometimes reach out and ask for help if you're not sure how to do something, because we all have flaws in certain areas, and we just need to understand that, and then we can reach out to others and, you know, build a team that can help us with everything. And, you know, again, rooting back to being surrounded by, you know, amazing people who support you and care for you.
Yes. Now, I have a question, because you've worked on so many incredible movies. Do you have any movie that was your favorite to work on, or most memorable to work on?
That's a tricky one, because there's so many.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up between Gladiator and Saving Private Ryan, because they're both fantastic directors. You know, both geniuses in filmmaking. And Gravity as well. Gravity was another one it's sort of a groundbreaking movie. You know, when we started Gravity, there wasn't the technology wasn't out there, and a lot of that was developed for that movie. You know, the volume, you know, the LED volumes, that really came from Gravity. You know, because we built a little tiny light box
Yeah.
little tiny volume to give the light effect on Sandra Bullock and George Clooney.
Wow.
And then it just evolved from there. So probably those three films are probably the ones. There's no single one.
Yeah,
Of course.
of
I mean,
course.
there's so many amazing projects that you've been on. I'm sure it's just so hard to pick a favorite, but I think all of them are special in their own way, and they all had their ups and downs.
And it's so interesting to hear how the technology
Exactly,
changes over
yeah.
time and how that changes the processes and the method. And I just think it's so interesting, especially when, I mean, those are all films that are well known and watched. So to hear, the process, the behind the scenes process of creating those special effects is just so interesting and so insightful and exciting.
Again, pulling off from what happened with Gravity, with how everything was changing and all the special effects were evolving. Have you seen the world of special effects change with new tech advancements throughout your career? And is it easier or more difficult to create new special effects?
I've seen a massive change in technology from when I first started. When I first started, we were in tiny little workshops, very almost like the garage, the shed at the back of the garden, that sort of thing. Now the workshops are huge. They're 10,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet. The computer, as the computer technology has really helped, with designing rigs, using motion control, computers to make rigs, hydraulic rigs and pneumatic rigs move. It makes it a lot easier. But then obviously you need to learn the software. There's a lot of 3D CAD software and animation software out there that I have no idea how to use. But I have these great people, men and women that know how this stuff. So I give them a silly little drawing and say, this is what I think the rig should look like, and then they go off and draw it and make it all happen.
And I think it's you have such a great point with that. There's so many tech advancements, but with that you also have to adapt to the advancements. It's not just oh, there's a great new technology, everything's simpler. Now it's all about changing and shifting constantly, and that's so true.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when there's something new that comes out, you need to kind of try to, understand how that works and find a way to fit it into everything. But in the long run, I think it definitely helps with creating better effects, and adds up to everything.
Yeah, no, it's good because I'm always on the lookout for different types of smoke machines, wind machines. I go a lot on YouTube and look at what machines are out there. Cranes, telehandlers, everything. I just love because YouTube's a great place for that. There was a machine called a SPMT, and it was this big. These machines were made to move oil rigs around when they build oil rigs and they get from the land onto a boat, and they're huge. They all bolt together. And I saw these about 10 years ago, and I kept thinking to myself, I want to use these on a film. And 10 years later, I managed to use them. I can't tell you what film it is because it's one I've just finished. But it's this time next year. Well, no, in November this year, you'll see these rigs being used, and it's so great that these channels exist. So because I would never have seen this SPMT unless it was for channels like YouTube.
I absolutely love that, and I love the idea of, as a teenager even, going on social media and using it to explore your interests. If you're interested in, filmmaking or special effects, research different techniques or tools. If you're interested in baking or cooking or anything like that, research recipes. If you're interested in business, listen to podcasts or podcast segments on social media. I love doing that. There's just so much out there, and social media can be a negative place, but it can also be such an amazing place to build up and learn about what you're interested in and grow your own interests.
And make it a positive place of not just, scrolling on TikTok for endless hours, but also ways, to improve yourself, to find what you're passionate about, and also finding out what you don't like as much, because I think those are both really important on both.
Yes. So, do you have any advice for teenagers who would be interested in following a similar career path to yours?
Yeah, I think it's as we said before, dedication. Just be very watch movies, go out and watch movies, and watch them more than once. Watch it the first time to see the entertainment, and then if there's a certain, if you're interested in makeup or if you're interested in special effects or visual effects, look at try and find or see how they did it, the certain things that you like about the movie or TV. The TV now is fantastic. The quality, Apple Plus, and Netflix and all these streamers. So the quality is really up there. But that's why I would say, because when you go into a meeting, if somebody comes to me for a job, again, a youngster, their knowledge. I mean, I had one last year that came in. He knew everything about movies. He knew all the movies that I'd done, and which was impressive, And he was talking about movies that I'd even forgotten about. It really impressed me. And then he said to me at the end of it, "Are there any other movies I should watch?" And I rattled off, half a dozen movies and said, "You should watch these, and then let me know what you think. Let me know what you took from it."
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And if you're gonna, look for a job or an internship in the future, it's so great to have that, like you mentioned, background knowledge and, almost in a sense expertise, not necessarily expertise, but like a strong knowledge in certain areas, because that comes off as interested and invested in a topic. And I think that especially as a teenager, as we're looking to go into an industry, it's important to, be actually interested and showcase that interest.
Definitely. And also like spending your own time to kind of, explore and delve more into the topic itself, so that you're able to, if you're going to somebody to talk to them about it, and with such a wide variety of resources, all you have to do is, even go on YouTube and maybe search up some, special effects clips of like a movie that you're really interested in. And it's so easy to, start getting more into things. And I think that's one of the really amazing parts of, the world that we're currently living in.
Yeah, I mean the behind the scenes are great things to look at. So if you see a movie that you enjoyed, to look at the behind the scenes making of. They're so interesting. I find, I still look at other movies, like Oppenheimer. I look at how they did that. So I'm intrigued by it. And Barbie, Barbie was fantastic. Love the movie.
Yeah, it was great. We loved that movie. Both of them were really great. So downtime is an important part. Obviously, we want to be researching what we're interested in. We want to be pursuing our passions, but it's important to take downtime. And what do you do as a way to take breaks and relax?
What do I do? I don't really get that much downtime, but the trouble is that I love what I do. So, I use the weekend. I've got two young children. I've got a little 4-year-old and 5, nearly 6-year-old. So they keep me busy. They're harder than work, I have to say. So it's nice to go to work for a rest from them sometimes. I've just planted a vineyard as well, so I'm sort of a little hobby that I'm doing, so that sort of takes my mind off it, and it feels like a rest because I'm thinking about something else. I'm very active. I can't sit down for 5 minutes. I need to be doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think gardening or planting is such a great way to, have something and watch it grow and develop and see your work in a different kind of medium than your usual work that you're working on.
And the best part is you're outside, and outside is known to give you so many amazing benefits. And so, just spending out there in nature and sunlight, and on top of that, you're getting your hands a bit dirty, your mind is, in a different, more relaxed state. And I think it's just also a really great way to, get some downtime. But I also think that it's amazing on how much you love your work. I think that it's definitely so amazing to do something that doesn't feel like work, doesn't feel like a chore. You're going there and it just feels like, you're doing what you love. And I think that's what everyone should have.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal.
What is one piece of advice you wish you could give to your younger self?
Just do the same again. Just I wouldn't change anything.
I love that.
It's
I
just
think
so amazing.
I think that's so true. I really like the everything happens for a reason kind of idea, and like
Definitely.
everything that's happened has brought you to where you are now, and the fact that it's all working out, and I love
Totally,
that.
and you've been so successful. You've achieved so many amazing things. I mean, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's as I say, I'm very lucky, and I wouldn't change anything. I'd just say, if I met my younger self, I'd say you're going to be all right.
I love that, and just keep going because you'll figure it out. I know sometimes as teenagers there's ups and there's downs and there's good days and there's not so good days, but no matter what, we just have to keep going because it will work out if we do what we're passionate about, as you have. What do you do every day that brings you a small bit of happiness?
My kids bring me a lot of happiness, I have to say. They keep me young, chasing them around. I've got a little boy called Oscar, who's 4, who's a bit of a handful, but he reminds me of me when I was little. So and my little daughter Mia, she's nearly 6, and she's 6 going on 20.
I love that. That's so sweet. And family is so important.
So
We're very close as a
definitely.
family. We love watching movies together.
We've watched a lot of.
That's great.
Our
Yeah.
dad is like a really big fan of a lot of your movies.
Yeah,
I
Gladiator,
remember-
Saving
yeah,
Private
he-
Ryan,
he's
both those
definitely
he loves. Yeah, a lot.
of the-
Napoleon, he
Oh
also
my-
loved
he
Napoleon.
was so
Yeah.
excited to watch it.
Yes. So when we told
Okay.
him about the fact that we're speaking with you today, he was very excited.
Oh, great.
I think there was some research that we did that, having a family dinner, at least I think 5 times a week, was it? Or
I'm not
what
sure,
was the
something
statistic?
close
But
to
just,
that.
having some time with your family at the end of the day is just so important, and it benefits everybody. So I think at the end, it's just, family is so important.
Yes, I agree.
I always make sure. I try and get home when I'm working in England. I try to get home. I always give them a bath at night and put them to bed if I can, or at least put one of them to bed. They're a bit of a handful, the 2 of them. So Maria, my wife, she'll do one and I'll do the other. But I always try and be there for that.
Definitely. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I love that.
So do you have a motivational quote? And if you do, would you like to share it?
Yeah, a quote that you remember that motivates you.
It's a rather silly one. It was from a show called Only Fools and Horses. I don't know whether you've ever seen that show. It's an English show. It's worth it. Look it up on YouTube. It's about 2 brothers they're a bit likely lads. They're a bit chancers, but it's a comedy. And one of the sayings that he says, because they're always poor, but they want to be rich. And one thing, there was a couple of things he used to say, he who dares wins. And it always stuck with me where those words, because it's a bit, who dares wins is a motto for the British SAS Army, but they make it a sort of funny sort of he who dares wins with this sort of movement that he does with his body, which is very funny and it always stuck in my head. And it's whenever things get tough and we're on the set and things are quite tricky, it's one of the things I always say. And when it goes right at the end of the day and everyone's happy, I always say, he who dares wins.
Exactly. It's good
Totally.
to see that on both perspectives, when you are in a tough
Definitely.
place and when you are feeling like you're doing great.
It's
both.
a universal quote.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's important to take risks, and it will get you to where you want to be if
Especially
you
if
are willing
those-
to take that risk.
Especially if those risks are for, following what you love and your passion. I think those are risks and dares that are worth following, because in the end, hopefully you'll end up feeling happy, fulfilled, and doing something that you love and successful at it.
There's certain things, if you don't do them, you regret it. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things I wish I'd done that when I was younger, or I wish I'd learned to ride a horse. I had the chance to ride, and I never did it. I wish I'd done it.
I love that. And if there's
Totally.
something that you really want to do it for you now and do it for you in the future, so you don't look back and say, oh, I really wish I had done that, and not made up 25 excuses as to why I shouldn't.
It's also a great
Yeah.
kind of perspective flip. If you're considering doing something, think, what would I say in the future? Would I be happy that I did it, taking a chance? Or will I look back and think, oh, I wish I had done this? And it's kind of a good way to get perspective. And
what would my future self
And these
say?
things, they don't all go right either. But at least you can say, well, I tried it. And it didn't work, but at least I tried it.
Exactly. I love that. So do you have anything exciting coming up that you could share with us? Maybe some events, premieres, movies, etc.?
Well, yes. Well, I've got very exciting. So I've been nominated for 3 Oscars.
Congratulations.
That's amazing.
In the same category in the same year. So I'm nominated for Napoleon, The Creator, and Mission Impossible. So I'm flying backwards and forwards to Los Angeles. I'm flying out on Sunday for this, like an Oscar nominee lunch. So they're flying me out there. All the nominees will be at this lunch, and it's great because you get to speak to all the different departments, the directors, the producers, the makeup, the designers. It's great. It's a lovely. I've done it a few times, and it's really nice. And then I've been nominated for 2 BAFTAs as well, which is the British Academy Awards.
Amazing.
3 nominations for the Visual Effects Society Awards. So yeah, it's busy times. And then Masters of the Air has just come out, which is a lovely, great project that I worked on a few years ago. So yeah, the beginning of 2024 has been quite incredible.
Yes, well, congratulations on all the nominations. That's amazing.
I'm
and so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you. I've
Yes.
seen a lot of the things that you've done, and they are all so amazing, and you totally deserve.
Very well deserved. Yes.
Very well deserved those Oscar nominations.
So,
and we're hoping that you win.
yes, definitely. We are cheering you on.
Thank you.
Is there anywhere where our audience can find us, or where our audience can find you if they're interested in learning more or seeing what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty bad at my my website. I mean, I need to sort of update it. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff of me on YouTube. If you just type my name in there, I'm on Facebook. I'm going to start. I've been on Twitter for not Twitter anymore, is it? It's X. I've been on X for quite a while, but for the awards season, I'm going to start tweeting. What do they call it now? If it's not Twitter,
I'm really not sure.
I'm not quite sure.
Xing. You Xing? I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I have to look into it.
Yeah, exactly. Search it up.
Well, I'll make sure that your Twitter or X is linked in the show notes so that anyone who's interested can definitely go and check it out and see what you're tweeting during the awards season. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on Hack Your Happiness.
It was
has
so
been
amazing
beyond
speaking to
inspiring
you.
speaking to you. I mean, your work is amazing, and congrats again on the nomination.
And it's great what you guys are doing as well. I think it's it's really for somebody so young but so confident, and it's great. It's really good. Carry on the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness.
And a huge thank you to Neil for joining us. He is beyond inspiring, and just listening to his answers to all our questions today and speaking with him, hearing about his behind-the-scenes experiences on all these incredible film sets, and how he started off in the special effects world at 15 years old on the Superman set is just... all of that is like mind-blowing.
He has
so cool.
So much experience, and it is amazing.
It's so cool.
And talking to him is just so inspiring.
And it also shows that you can really do anything that you want, and the sky is the limit. And I mean, every time that we talk to somebody so inspiring, I'm just like, wow, like there is truly so many routes in life, like so many different opportunities.
You can do so many different things and you can still be successful at it.
Exactly. So Anastasia, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from Neil?
My biggest takeaway is that it's important to be passionate and really care and enthusiastic about what you're doing, rather than just showing up because for the money, the pay, or just because you think it would sound good.
Exactly.
I think what matters is just what you're doing for yourself, if you're interested in it. And it's also a great way to find out what parts of it you like, what parts of it you don't like, because in the end, what you don't like also really helps build up who you are and helps you focus more on what you do like, so you can get better at that.
Exactly, because the thing is, I think a lot of times as teenagers we're like, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, or maybe I want to be like a famous actress or actor because that sounds good. But if you're not genuinely interested in it, somebody else will be, and they will in the end do better than you because of that genuine interest that they're able to show. So find out what you're really interested in by trying different things out and, researching, learning more about your passions and your interests. And I think that, like Neil said in today's interview, that is the true way to success. My biggest takeaway today from Neil, I would have to say, is surround yourself with a supportive and incredible team, because those people will truly be able to elevate you. You can't do it all on your own. You can't create special effects for an entire film all on your own, just as how we honestly can't, team sports, you can't do it alone. We can't get through school without peers and teachers. We can't get through all these things. Even if you play, like, say, a solo sport, you still need a coach, you still need motivation, you still need support. And it's important that if you don't feel supported, think about how you can find that support. Maybe that means getting a mentor, joining an online forum, finding some sort of community, and sometimes you may need to dig a little bit harder and deeper to find that supportive community, but recognize how important of an aspect that is.
Having people around you that support you, care for you, and have your best interests at heart honestly can help you so much and can really elevate you. And even just being around somebody who you want to be more like. Maybe you have a friend who is constantly following, what they like. They try things, they fail, they try again, they do better, and just having that kind of friend helps you also create that kind of mindset. And honestly, just having those kinds of people that you feel comfortable around, like you can fail and you're not going to get judged.
Yeah,
and you're all in it together.
Recently, I was watching this thing on Instagram, and this girl was talking about the pros and cons of living with college roommates, and that sounds like it'd be completely irrelevant, but she said something that I think is actually so important to think about. She said, the people that you're gonna live with, you're gonna pick up on their traits, and you're gonna become close to them. Especially if you're like living with them, you're gonna become very similar to them. But this applies to friendships and teammates, etc.
Siblings.
Yes. But if you want to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. So if you're going into a social situation and you're gonna pick up these traits of these people, because if you're gonna be recognize that if you find their traits annoying, you're going to eventually pick up on these traits. So surround yourself with people that you want to be like, so that you pick up those traits rather than negative traits.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, please leave us a 5-star rating from wherever you're listening. It really helps us out and we really appreciate it.
Also, be sure to join our happiness family and support our podcast by following this podcast on whichever platform you're listening. See you next time!